We're looking to the skies on this episode of We're No Damn Experts. We're talking stargazing with two members of the Great Falls Astronomy Club coming up.
Best damn podcast, the best damn town. You want to get up, get ready to get down. With its big wide sky and the wild river Thames. If you want to go, we can take you there to Great Falls, Montana.
Welcome to the greatest damn town in Montana, Great Falls. I'm Rebecca Ingham.
I'm Shannon Newth.
And we're No Damn Experts. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Yes, happy Valentine's Day.
I mean, it's not going to be Valentine's
Cupid's
Day when
birthday.
you're listening to this, but...
No.
And
But it is right now. It's cheery.
And I'll go on record for the first time, because I think it's the first time we're ever recording on Valentine's Day.
Okay.
I hate the holiday.
Yeah, we've discussed, Peter and I were discussing this earlier
yeah.
about just the holiday itself.
So tell me, who is Peter?
Yes, I'm so glad you asked. Peter is one of our lovely guests sitting here today, along with Rod. Welcome to both of you.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome, Peter and Rod.
Hello, hello.
What
Hi.
did we lure you here under the guise of? Like, what do you think what are we doing with you today?
I heard there was free water.
Oh,
So
isn't that nice?
We've already followed through on that
Cheap.
promise.
Check that box.
It's cloudy. We have nothing better to do.
Oh,
Yes.
That makes sense. It's
Is
getting
it?
progressively less cloudy, I
Yeah.
think, though.
Yeah, it's getting better.
Hopefully.
It's the first blue sky I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, it is
So-
nice.
We're jonesing for.
people like you get really excited about, clear skies and night
The nighttime.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you?
because
They're not
you
vampires.
are either part of or founders of Great Falls Astronomy. Did I get that right?
Close. Yes.
It's all right to
here's
tell
our
me
first-
I'm wrong.
Here's our first story. Opportunity
Perfect.
for a story.
Fantastic.
Yeah, tell us what
Take
the
it
deal
away,
is.
Rod.
So I got my first telescope. Backstory. I've always been like a big fan of the stars, right? Like,
Okay.
since like Star Wars 1977, So
Yeah.
Ooh.
so for my whole
So
life.
this is a long
So that
time.
was
This
really
is like a
inspired.
life that I didn't know it until like examining my life over
You're like,
Sad and deep thought.
as you do
I
when
have a
you're in
thing
your
for this.
mid to late 40s. So I was like, I got my first telescope for Christmas, and it was super cool. I was like, hey, this is really cool, and I can actually see things in the sky now, and so I started like wondering, well, I wonder, we live in Montana, there's got to be tons of people just with this exact same telescope I can go hang out with, and we can go look at the stars together. They can tell me what I'm doing wrong, and teach me how to find things, because it's pretty big sky.
it's a big sky. Yeah.
And
You're
how do you
12 years old when you thought this?
No, this is just like a year ago. A year ago.
Okay.
This is a long
So,
build up. Yeah.
Yeah, we're past the pre-story.
Okay.
I was like, so I went on the internet, as you do, looking for a club or a organization or something, and much to my disappointment, that's a good word.
Yeah.
There wasn't one. And I was like, this can't be true. So more digging, and I've come to learn that there was a group called the Central Montana Astronomical Society.
That's a mouthful.
And they've been around since the 90s. But unfortunately, as many things did, COVID got rid of them.
Thanks, China.
And, yeah, thanks, China. And so they disbanded, and no one had ever resurrected it. So I'm like, I'm going to resurrect it because I want people to hang out with.
If you don't, who's going to?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So the Facebook page was started. I met Peter at some point, and he was on board. And he also a much more traveled, astronomer than I am, so much more experience than I did. So he took me under his wing a little bit. We went out a couple, our first star party. It was just me and him, and he has got some cool scopes, and he showed me all his toys, and I showed him my cheap little pawn shop telescope. And a hobby was born.
Did Peter make fun of your telescope?
No, he was very nice.
Oh, well, that was nice
But
of you.
he was also very proud of his telescopes as well. So he took the focus off of mine and
Well,
look
it
at this fine equipment.
That was
over
a nice
here.
way of redirecting.
Yeah, it was a nice redirect to his nicer.
This is
nicer
probably
equipment.
why I don't have friends, because I would have just made fun of your telescope and then said, well, you got crap, so you can't use mine.
Yeah.
That's why I don't have friends. So I'm glad there are nicer people in the world.
Yeah. So, and just by the very nature of a very nerdy, dorky hobby, we're all full of antisocial people who don't like to talk to each other, which is great for a group.
Maybe that's why there wasn't a club.
Yeah, right. So that's why we have to plan and organize just to get like one night where
Draw people
everybody
out.
comes in and we can all gather our equipment and look at the stars. So it has slowly grown to the Facebook page is up to like 450 people now. I
Nice.
think.
Yep.
So yeah, they're-
Holy moly.
yeah,
And we
so-
haven't even been around for a year yet, and we've gotten
That's
this
great.
response.
So and we as time got on, we started to collect some of the members of the old group. So we have their kind
good.
of brain power to all their experience of
Oh, that's
how
nice.
to run the old group, because they were like everywhere. They were in the Wednesday envelopes, and they were in.
Oh, wow.
They were just everywhere. They were in the community. It told me a cool story about how they got a grant for the Lewis and Clark Interpretive Museum,
Yeah.
and it got those lights, the lights in the thing
yeah.
there. They're special lights. You can turn them on and off, and they are directed towards the ground and not towards the sky,
Aha.
so as to prevent light pollution. Which
So
is
my
also a-
assumption
clever.
is this is the area next to the interpretive center, the amphitheater area.
I think it's the entire facility.
Oh.
The entire parking lot can be turned off, in the event of a
Well, that's
star
handy.
party.
Oh,
So-
look at that.
Yeah, so
That worked
those are
out
some
really
of the cool
well.
things that they used to do. Was they would have like hundreds of people, I guess, like
Yeah.
these starter parties, and
I
there was-
remember seeing like events online about them. I didn't get to make it out
We used
to
to
one,
have
but I
a team
remember.
member that said that they were really cool, and
Yeah.
and I said, really? She's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun.
so now your job is to convince Rebecca that it would be cool.
Yeah,
No, I
it's-
think it's neat. Like,
Yeah.
I think space is neat.
Mm-hmm.
I hate trying to look through a telescope or
Oh.
like a spotting scope or anything.
What is it you hate about it?
Like my eye. Like
Yeah.
I hate my physical eye's ability to look
Yeah.
because it starts twitching and
Yeah.
It's hard to
fidgeting.
keep
Like it's
specific
my whole
focus.
personality, I think.
it's a technique for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
To get
How do you? Quick explanation. How do you like make it your eye not so like twitchy?
I think just practice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Be
practice,
born better.
Yeah.
You gotta walk away and give your eyes a break.
Okay.
Every now and then. That's always good.
Yeah.
But also, I have a technology now where I don't look through the telescope, or I do, but I do that just to find my target. Then I put a camera on it, and it feeds into my computer, so I can stare at it on the screen.
That's
And then
makes
from
it
there,
easier.
I can project it onto a bigger screen, like a computer screen, that I face toward the audience, and I can tell people, this is Jupiter right now. at the
See,
very
you
moment.
need you need.
Oh, I see what you
screens.
mean. A lot more equipment over on that side
so,
of the table.
the equipment it's a deep rabbit hole of very expensive, very deep hole of astronomy equipment.
That's
Yeah.
got to be cool. I could get on board with a star party that didn't make me squinting and angling, trying to get the right perspective, and I think that would be easier for
Yeah,
me.
it is fun. It's cool to learn what's up there because, like, sure you can see stars and maybe the occasional, like a comet or gigantic asteroid heading towards you. But
that'd be good to see.
But
Yeah.
there's so many things out there, and like,
Are you going to help save humanity if an
I hope
asteroid's
so.
coming towards us? Or you're going to be
You know,
like,
that
hey,
happens.
let's head out.
It
And
happened to
That happens.
Russia about 10 years ago. An asteroid
Oh.
actually hit. It knocked. Nobody died, but it knocked out a lot of the equipment.
Wow.
But when it comes to asteroids,
that's helpful, I guess, to see
Sorry.
it coming.
yeah.
Oh, you're fine.
But like, I think maybe we're going to talk about the same thing right now. But like, what's the word? Yeah, we're going to say ums and ahs. What's the word I'm trying to think of?
asteroid,
We're not the ones to
No.
ask that.
planet,
Um,
Be-
star.
When it comes to asteroids and comets, think about this. If an asteroid hit us, we wouldn't know it.
Yeah.
We wouldn't know it.
We'd
Wouldn't
just
feel a
be
thing.
done.
And people say, well, what happens if an asteroid hits? Well, we saw that in Jupiter over about 15 years ago. You guys might have heard about it. It was a Shoemaker-Levy 9. It was a massive asteroid, 23 miles wide.
Is that the name of it? The Shoemaker, or is that a category? Okay.
I love that you think we've heard of this.
Yeah,
particularly me.
It was in the news.
Oh,
yeah. So
that's
right.
Shannon's area.
Before we just real quick, before we pressed record on this, we were talking with Peter, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I know." You know, we were talking about the Kellys, the astronaut, and you were like, I'm shocked you know that. And I was like, well, it was in the news when I was in the news. So, yeah. Anyway,
but,
Shoemaker-Levy
9, based on the people that found it.
Okay.
But it shadowed outside of Jupiter, which happens quite often. Jupiter consumes asteroids and comets continuously. It's actually why we don't get hit very often.
Well, thanks,
so like
Jupiter.
they're shielding us.
Yeah.
But it broke into 23 pieces. Each piece was about a mile wide. And over the course of a week, they hit Jupiter, and it actually changed the face of Jupiter for about a month.
Oh my gosh!
23 miles. These little rocks.
Wow.
So,
but you said just for a month. What happened?
Yeah,
Did it grow back?
No, they hit the Earth. They hit the Jupiter, and it you could see the disruption in the clouds because Jupiter is extremely cloudy. And after a while, they did close up and correct it. But those asteroid pieces hit it. Only a mile across. That just shows you the devastation of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if we got hit, we probably wouldn't know it.
I think I would know if I got hit by an asteroid.
Well, you'd just be done so quickly that you wouldn't know what happened.
You'd be like the dinosaurs going, what's that?
Is it a flaming ball of rock like the movies say? Is that what we're looking for an asteroid?
Depends on the size, I guess. But yeah.
We get bombarded by asteroids every day. Lots of them.
Really? Jupiter's not taking the hit for us on all of them?
Not all of them. Just a tiny one.
But Jupiter does change things. Like it was, might have heard of Hale-Bopp comet.
I did hear about that one. There was a cult attached to that one.
They figured out,
Good job.
an asteroid came around the sun, did a slingshot, went back out. But it went by Jupiter.
Catchy name.
It went by Jupiter, and Jupiter actually changed its course.
Wow.
So you had it calculated, well, it's going to be like 6,000 years until it comes back.
Oh, my gosh.
Based on the speed and its trajectory. But Jupiter got its hands on it and changed the course of it, so now it's
planets
different.
can change their course?
Neptune brings a lot of them in. Neptune brings a lot of things from the Earth.
Can Earth change
Jupiter,
its course?
But we don't like Neptune.
We can. They're all being drawn in by one source, and that's the sun.
Right.
But then you got Jupiter pulling on it. That's why a lot of comets will shatter outside of Mars. A lot of them will do that, or before they reach the sun. Because Jupiter and Saturn, once you go past those planets, the gravity of the planet is still pulling on it. So you slow down. But then usually they'll be in a tug of war with the sun and the Jupiter, and it'll break them apart.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be. And it happens quite often, actually.
And you can see this.
We cannot see
happen.
it.
Okay,
but they can see
that's pretty powerful.
They can see that with the Hubble, actually.
Peter can see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I can see it.
Yeah.
No. Actually, no, I can't.
Taps into Hubble and just looks at it.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, amateur astronomers actually they do occasionally detect incoming asteroids for us. Yeah, because there's any given moment, think of how many amateur astronomers are in the world looking up at the sky. So there's lots of eyes on the sky at all the times.
That seems helpful.
And if you know what you're looking for, you can actually detect, a field of static stars, and then one of those stars happens to be moving a little bit.
Huh.
Hey, that wasn't supposed to do that. Let's do some research and figure out where that is. And I think. And then that's where you get the funny names of asteroids, because they get named after the people that discover them. So you get these crazy names that doesn't make any sense, but it's just it's either the astronomer that finds it, or maybe the observatory that finds it. That's where you get these crazy names.
And
go ahead.
I was gonna say that. I think I lost my train of thought there. Sorry.
Yeah,
it's okay. It's
Sorry,
Rebecca's
I do
fault.
that.
Yeah.
So I've got it. I mean, this is a level of knowledge that I don't think just everybody has.
No.
How much time do you devote to this
Well,
hobby.
that's kind of where I think
Peter's face.
a lifetime of
I think
can
Peter's
answer this
thinking it's
question.
no longer a hobby.
just like thinking about space and being a fan of space and just letting your passions just really gauge your interest level, because people are going to have different interest levels, and I'm sure all 400 of our group members aren't at the same levels of, some of us are just there for their pretty pictures,
right?
Some of us are really in it. We have super expensive telescopes and gear, and so there's.
So on a weekly basis, how many hours are you devoting to this hobby?
Well,
I could field that one. When I'm looking for planets, it's easy to find Jupiter. Saturn's a little bit hard. Uranus takes some time. Neptune, photographing Neptune took me about 4 hours to find it and then confirm it. Because Neptune's so far out there, you can't see it with the naked eye. You can see, if you're in the middle of nowhere, you can probably see Uranus with it. But Neptune's the only planet that was not discovered by observation. It was done by calculation. But I have found it.
Wow.
And I have to find a way, I have to confirm the sighting, which actually Neptune looks a little green.
Like, who do you confirm
Really?
it with? You call Rod and go, hey, you seeing what I'm seeing? Or are you phoning
NASA.
Yeah.
No, we don't. They already know Neptune exists.
They don't need to know about that.
But Neptune,
for us to find it again is the to find it with our own amateur telescopes. That's the challenge. Is to
Wow.
because NASA's got a pretty the catalog is growing every day, obviously, but so they've got like the Hubble and all these crazy telescopes out there constantly cataloging new stars and new galaxies. And
so I will redirect my question again. Peter, how many hours you spend in a week on this hobby?
Because that's 4 hours
do
from
I work
Neptune.
the next day, and is it clear out? And what exactly is out there? Because
Average week? I don't know. I have to think you're devoting
Many
time
hours.
to it every week.
if you got 7, maybe if you have a clear sky, on average, I'd say 2 hours a night.
Okay.
Per
It
night,
depends.
yeah.
It depends on the target.
Yeah.
It definitely depends on the target.
Do you go out
photographed
with a
that.
target every night, or do you go just to look sometimes without a
he does.
target?
He does an interesting. Tell him what you do. You don't.
What's your plan?
You star hunt. Tell him
Yes, I'm
Strategy.
a star
Oh.
hunter. I call it hunting because basically you find a target, you line it up, and you use a scope, and it actually has crosshairs, and that's how you sight it. Then you look through the other scope, and then you line it up, get your shot, then you take the photo. So it's actually hunting.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. Sometimes when I'm out there looking at stuff, usually I'll have a destination or something I want to catch. But sometimes you're out there and you catch something and you go, "What the heck is that?"
Yeah.
I grab my little app that I have and I try to identify it. Oh, that's that. But stars are cool because I hunt stars. I've done planets. That's my area. He does deep sky stuff. But my goal is to photograph as many stars as I can and publish them.
Have you ever named a star?
No.
That's the thing, though.
On this beautiful Valentine's Day, I would have thought you would have been the romantic that said, "Here, I named a star
did you
after
do that for your wife? Yeah.
No, because
He's like,
you don't like her that
that's
much."
baloney.
they already have really cool names for stars like HD 13684219446.
Aw, how romantic. Yeah.
TYI and then 13
Oh.
letters behind it. NASA is really bad. Scientists are really weird when it comes to naming things because it's like they do it on purpose, just to show.
Just to
we're
make
smarter
it
than you.
complicated.
So nobody else can have the fun.
Right.
They're stealing all the fun for themselves.
Yeah, but
Wow.
But I hunt stars, and I can tell you one thing I can say about stars is that people look at them and they see these pretty little dots in the sky, and what I like is every star has their own personality. Some of them I say it's a binary system. That's why it's so bright, and I got the technology now where I can actually isolate the binaries.
Wow.
I can see both stars,
Okay.
and binary stars are two stars
tell.
that orbit each other.
You're gonna
Yeah,
have
sorry
to
about that,
pull
sorry
it
about
down
that.
to my level of what are we talking about when you're talking about
So,
binary?
Yeah, to talk
I'm
about
Sorry about that.
computer.
talk about how many stars you've found at one time, like
Well, actually, it was Castor. It was a star called Castor, and you might not know it, but I guarantee you have seen that star. Everybody's seen that
Yeah.
star. There's a star out, it's probably Castor or Pollux. There's certain stars, I'm like, these stars, you know exactly what they are.
Okay.
You've seen them. But it's actually, I got 2 stars on it, and I got that in a photo. But in reality, it's 6 stars.
Oh, wow.
There's one main star, main sequence star. You got another one orbiting that one, and you got that one has 2 stars orbiting that star, and then that star has another star orbiting.
I
that
had no
one.
idea. I thought
Yeah.
they were all just individual,
No.
just kind of there. Yeah.
Actually,
And binary stars are actually very, very common.
they're the most common in the galaxy, is to have 2 stars in your sky if
The weird
you're on an alien planet.
And the weird thing is that with our sun,
Okay.
what we
It's true.
found out is that with our sun, it is very strange that our sun is 1 star. We should have 2. We're
I think-
supposed to have 2.
2
it
suns.
Yeah.
Did the moon just go rogue, and that's what
think-
happened?
No, it floated away. It might be on the other side of the galaxy because it probably just got away somehow or broke apart because stars can't do that. They drift too far away.
Shifted its orbit,
Yeah.
changed
Wow.
its course.
I've read that Jupiter was going to be our 2nd star, but
It,
conditions just weren't quite right for it to form a
It would have
So
been a
now it's
brown
just
dwarf.
out there
Yeah,
It would've been a-
battling for
yeah.
us, those
Yeah.
asteroids. Yeah,
I've fallen
if
in
it's-
love with Jupiter.
I know.
if it's a little bit bigger, I think Carl Sagan said if it was like 30-40% bigger, it could have
Collapsed.
ignited
Yeah.
into a star.
Would put it on a
But it would
star.
probably be a brown dwarf, which is a dead star.
That's sad.
What I think I remember from elementary school.
I know, it's like,
this
wow,
is the
I don't
last
remember
time
any
any
of
of this
this.
happened. But I think I was told that stars are just burnt out somethings in the sky, like they're not live, if you will.
Ooh,
but what
they're
you're
very live.
saying is that they are on fire alive, not something that we're seeing that's been burnt out from 20 years ago because of the space-time continuum or whatever it is.
Yes. Space-time continuum.
If you look up at the sky, and if you really look at some of the stars, you'll see that some of them are really small, some are big, some of them are twinkling like crazy.
Yeah.
And so basically when you're looking at one that's really twinkling, going crazy, it's either because it's a multi-system by stars reacting with each other, or it is a star that is gotten so big that it can no longer contain its own heat, and so it becomes a pulsating variable, which means it's too big for its own good. These are super stars that are about as big as our solar system. Like I think everybody's heard of Betelgeuse, that star. That's a supergiant. It's
my
massive.
favorite.
It reaches all the way out to it reaches all the way out to like Jupiter. But there's one called Scooty. And that star is the largest. That is the
Scooty.
largest star
I
ever
don't know
discovered.
why he's not the most popular one.
Scooty. It's a
If-
good name.
It's in the Scutum constellation, so that's why I got Scooty.
I mean, of course it is. I mean, that
Yeah.
makes the most sense, right?
But there's only so much we can see from here, so
Yeah.
there might be. There's another one that's out there that they think might be bigger than that one, but they haven't confirmed it because we're not in a good place to see it. These stars are actually located near the center of the galaxy, and you can't really. That's hard to get through.
Wow.
They're so busy out there.
What do you do? I'm just assuming you work outside of your hobby. What do you do for work? Are you?
I cut fruits and vegetables at Albertsons. Look, good story. I went down to Fort Benton to do a show, for these Cub Scouts. I got my own merit badge, actually.
Oh, hey.
It's kind of cool.
It's like an honorary doctorate,
Yeah.
but Cub Scout
we
version.
have a merit badge too.
Yeah, and it's, what were we talking about?
You went to
Cutting
Fort Bend.
fruits and
Yeah.
vegetables
Your
at
job.
Albertsons.
Yeah, I cut the fruits and
Fort
vegetables
Benton.
at Albertsons, and I'm actually in school to become an addictions counselor.
Oh, that's
Oh, look
great.
at that.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So,
None of this all seems related.
none
So
of it.
finish your story of how you ended up in Fort Benton
Yeah,
with the merit
honorary
badge and
merit
the
badge.
teaching the scouts. What were you doing there?
Oh, that's a long story.
Affecting knife?
It's a long story. I think
It was a star party.
Yeah, somebody said, "Hey, do you guys want to go out to Fort Benton?" And we said, "Yeah." And true story.
It's a great one, Peter.
Yeah.
It's a long story, but you want to go to Fort Benton and do a star party for Cub Scouts? Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
There you go.
what consumes your days? Because we know what consumes your nights now.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in the TV biz,
Oh.
so I'm very familiar with all these 4 microphones and those knobs, those shiny knobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
I was
Yeah.
noticing you
Super-
were a little bit natural.
Yeah.
at it.
super fancy in here. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I've been doing that for 25 years, 26-ish years. So first job out of college, so you can't get rid of me.
Well, find your
So-
passion. Well, that's good.
Yeah. So I've just been a really just a super nerd my whole life. Just computers. I've always got along well with any technology, and cameras have always been kind of in my world, and really just astronomy and astrophotography specifically is what I kind of graduated into. So there's a bunch of different levels of astronomy. Like astronomy is like the umbrella, and then there's different specialities underneath of that. So,
I think being able to take pictures of stars at night or just the sky at night is a whole interesting skill set.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So that's a whole so there's foreground is like trees and mountains, and the background is like a Milky Way shot. That's astronomy. Shooting pictures of planets and the moon, that's astronomy. Shooting pictures of nebula and stuff like what I do, that's also astronomy. So there's a whole wide range of things that can be considered astronomy.
Do you turn your photos into art, or is it just for your own personal look at how cool I am?
So the problem with what we do is that those things up there don't move really. So there's thousands of people that have taken the same photo of the exact same thing. So there is a science behind it to get it to look like it's supposed to. But other than that, there is a point at which you can start to interject a little bit of like artistic stuff into it, like the framing of the shot or the colors you choose to represent these basically invisible gases in space. So and there's all scientific reasons why this is that color, this is that color. And NASA invented called the Hubble palette, so they've got like the three main gases in space. They've assigned three colors to those gases based on their relations to each other, and really makes things pop. So
these colors we're associating with seeing these nighttime pictures are just made up to associate for our own brains?
They are those colors, but they're so faint that they need to be amplified thousands of times, basically. Okay. So like oxygen has as you might predict, is kind of a bluish color. Sulfur is kind of a greenish color. Yeah. Hydrogen is reddish to reddish orange. So what you do is you just you take pictures of these gases, and then like for nebula, they have a mixture of all these different things, and they all have their funny shapes in there. So you don't see the shapes until you see, the front of that shape is orange and the back of it is blue. Well, those two colors contrast crazily. So once you've got your photo taken, then you take it into Photoshop or whatever magic software you're using. That's where the processing part of it happens, and that's also part of my thing too. Is like doing TV and Photoshop and having to work with all these pieces of technology. Just really, it pushes a lot of checks a lot of boxes in my wheelhouse for it. So it was just another cool thing for me to do, and it's just it quickly became from a hobby into a bit of an obsession. So I'm sure Peter can relate.
Yeah. But I was going to say, when it comes to colors of stars, depends on the type of telescope you have too. But what you're going to be able to get, like if you take a refracting telescope, which is one of the ones that you see that has a long tube, long thin tube, and then you got the scope at the end. Those things are refracting, which they use lenses, and so in lens
that's kind of like
curved and it distorts colors.
Binoculars.
Yeah. They distort colors.
What you find at Sam's Club during Christmas.
I gotta remember what all this is. Yeah.
But with refracting, you get more detail because it's really zoomed in. The other type of telescope is reflecting, and that one uses a mirror in the back. You see an object, it hits the mirror into your eye, and that's those ones that look like an actual drum,
like a teleprompter,
and has the scope in the front. And those things can capture actual color. So you can either the difference between telescopes is that the refracting, you're not going to get natural color, but more detail. With a reflecting, you're going to get natural color, but not as much detail because it's so wide ranged. So
you're starting to go down. You're on the edge of the black hole here.
Yeah.
You're spinning. I can tell.
I'm clearly not smart enough to invest in any kind of technology. But let's say I want to experience someone else's hard-earned technology.
That's where you go to a star party.
So star parties, there's not like a weird telescope set up somewhere in Great Falls where people can just go, like on top of the hill, we've got some weird binoculars.
Yeah. No, I wish there was. And I think this is 100 years ago, but I thought there was a movement to get like an observatory over by the Lewis and Clark Interpretive
That'd
Museum.
be really cool.
Yeah, because it's really...
I think I heard.
Yeah, like a long time ago. I've never picked up any traction, but I know there is an observatory down by Helena on Canyon Ferry Lake.
Yeah, we don't care about that.
Yeah. So there's one down there. But
we're kidding, Helena. We love you.
Yes.
The best.
And that's a nice drive. Beautiful drive.
Yeah,
to
it
get
is
there.
a beautiful scenic drive.
And I've been meaning to visit that myself,
Yeah.
but. The best skies in the U.S. are down in the desert, of course, like Arizona, Utah.
Why?
Just because they have it's consistent climate, consistently clear nights a lot of the times. You can even rent. This is kind of cool. They have these remote observatories. So if you wanted to not spend all the money on equipment, you could literally rent a telescope for I don't know however much, and it's just what Quonset hut is.
Yeah.
Like this huge building, and the roof rolls back, and the
Oh.
telescope elevates, and you bought about 5 hours on this thing.
Wow.
So I'm just gonna pick my target. It's all automated. You're literally sitting at home on your laptop, and you're just like plugging in coordinates.
Oh.
I want to see Beetlejuice tonight. Boop. And then 5 hours
Hey.
on Beetlejuice. Or whatever.
I just see an opportunity here for like igloo
Uh-huh.
hotel rooms.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Where you go stay there and it's equipped with all this stuff and then you can just sit there with your telescope and if
Yeah.
you get tired and fall asleep. Because the thing is, you
Yep.
can't do this during the day.
Right.
Right?
Well, depends on where you live.
I just got some solar filters, so yeah, I can I can look at the sun now and not get blinded. So I can.
So there you go.
That's an actual thing. You can actually see the sun, and you can see actually flames coming off.
Oh my
the
gosh,
sun.
really?
And I got
That's
cool.
cool.
I got a picture that I published. It's on my Facebook. I actually caught a solar flare
Oh,
Wow.
bursting out. And it was a big one. That would be one of the ones where
That's
they'd say
cool.
if it's going in the right direction, they would tell the people on the International Space Station, hit the dirt. Power down and hit the
Ooh,
dirt. Okay,
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
locked. You go into lockdown. If a solar
Wow.
flare is coming at them, they have procedures they have to go lock down because they're
Yeah.
They're going to get that radiation directly. That's
When
what
I
that
was in
heading happen.
elementary school, we created solar eclipse glasses from some manila folders. So
Yeah.
that, I mean,
Because
that
that'll protect
technology-
your eyes. Yeah.
sure.
And
It
you're,
was
you're,
fine.
you're only blind in one eye to this
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
perfect.
that's-
My vision's so great.
What year was it? 2016, 2017,
Mhm.
the eclipse that we could see from here. I was in Glacier National Park on this guided hike trip, which was really cool. But I remember we stopped about that time. Somebody had, I don't know anything about specifics of telescopes, so somebody had that, got out the camera, and I didn't take them, but just some really cool shots of the eclipse happening that were taken with the camera through the telescope,
Yeah.
which was just so cool to be able to look back and see that. Were you guys?
We're going to have a solar eclipse this year,
Yep, April-
24.
April the 8th. I
That
think.
we
Um,
can see here.
April 24th?
well-
I forget what day it is. Is it April the 8th or April
24th, yeah, that's when we have
From
the
what
star
I
party.
understand is not, it's not going to be the best viewing here.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, it's
There, you
the
can
sun.
still see it.
I think
Yeah.
you're going to notice. But
It-
I'll
you-
leave it to you
yeah,
all
Yeah.
to
it's-
explain
it's-
that.
Okay.
It's basically like a horizontal line that starts in New Hampshire and just kind of goes through the middle of the country, and it kind of rolls through Texas. It's kind of that angle.
Yeah.
There's a thing called occlusion, so that's basically how much of the sun gets blocked out.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a skinny little stripe called 100% occlusion. If everyone wants to do a cool little springtime road trip, head south as far as you can get until the roads started getting backed up from people trying to stop on the side of the road to see this eclipse.
Oh my
But
goodness.
that 2016 one, we made it a point to made it into a little family road trip.
You
And
went
we
to
actually
Casper?
had people. Well, we went to Oregon, and
Okay.
so we have people that live, friends of ours that live in Oregon. So we just
Yeah.
basically camped in their backyard,
Yeah.
and even
Didn't
then,
tell them that. Didn't tell them you're camping out in the
Right,
backyard.
just showed up.
I forget the highway name in Oregon, but it was
Packed.
blocked up for 5
Yeah.
hours straight. No one could go anywhere. So
Wow.
Yeah.
we could only get as far as south of 90. It was 96% occlusion, so it was
Okay.
pretty
That's
close to
pretty good,
100%. Yeah. But it was really weird because it was you know, and I don't know what it was like anywhere else, but where we were, it was like everything, like time, like reversed itself. Like all the plants started like opening up, and like there's a thing where they like release their water or something. But everything happened like super quick because it was like,
wasn't that long that this was happening.
Yeah, so it was like a matter of like 4 or 5 minutes, and the flowers were blooming.
Oh my gosh!
And the fog from the ocean rolled in super quick. It was like,
oh, this
is
wild.
really weird, and the light got really weird. And so
I remember the light. It just felt like, because again, we're northern Montana during that, but I remember it was just kind of an eerie sky, sort of. It felt, because it wasn't dark, but it wasn't normal. It was like weird light.
Yeah.
I was not looking at the plants though, although I assume they didn't have the same type of reaction
in April, if you're not going all the way south, look at the shadows on the ground.
Okay.
And there'll be a weird crescent-shaped shadow, not your usual shadow. So that's a really cool thing to look for.
That would be a cool thing to look.
Don't necessarily. It saves your eyes because you're not looking at the sun.
Right.
Don't ever look at the sun, kids. Ever.
This is helpful.
Unless you have super specialized.
Adults don't look at the sun either. I mean, we've got some that need that disclaimer.
That's very true.
But so there's some cool things that happen even in partial occlusion. Like we'll be in Montana.
So you said your entire family was into this. Is that because you found people that were like you, or you forced them into liking the things you like?
It was a combination of the location was everything everyone else wanted. Like, we wanted to go to the ocean. We love Oregon. We're going to hook up with my friends. Oh, Rod wants to, he wants to see some stupid thing in the sky. We'll just drag him along. And secretly, I'm like, hey, I fooled everybody into going to Oregon.
So same to you, Peter. Is your wife into this, or she's like, I tolerate him because I love him?
She finds it very, very interesting, but she does not have the patience to sit out there for 3 hours trying to find
Neptune.
But when she does, she loves seeing my pictures. She's on the group. She loves it. She finds it fascinating. I mean, we watch astronomy shows together, but she does not go out there. But she really, really encourages me a lot.
Well, that's a good
It's clear
spot.
sky. Clear sky. You're going to go outside at night? Yep, I'm going out there.
So she knows by the weather forecast what your plan for the day is.
Actually, that's true. She can look up at it. Okay, Pete's going to be busy.
And my wife is the same. She's super supportive, but she will not stand out in the cold for 5 hours while I capture 100 photos of one thing.
Yeah. Well, you're not looking through the same telescope at the same time, so she's mostly just watching you watch things.
Yeah. And her passions lie elsewhere, so it's like
that's good.
My wife makes fun of me because sometimes I'm out there for hours on end. There's some times where I saw the sun go down. I'm out there looking at stuff. Suddenly, there's a sun coming up. What
You're
the?
like, oh, whoops.
I come back in. The wife's like, what the?
Where
or
have you
if it's
been?
wintertime and I really wanted to get a star or some of that, or a planet, I come in and I'm just out there for hours and it's like 10 below.
Yeah. It's like,
I'm coming in. I'm like frozen. I got a stupid hobby.
Now, let's discuss the whole night thing, because when we're talking about astronomy, even though Peter has some abilities to look at the sun, kids don't look at the sun.
Don't look at the sun, kids. No matter what.
Or adults.
But most of the time when we're looking at stars and things like that, it has to be done at night. And it has to be done at night after a certain amount of time, because I've heard this term, you don't want any light pollution.
That's true.
And it requires your eyes to get adjusted to
we're
total darkness.
We're pretty lucky in Montana where we have pretty nice skies. If you look at a light pollution map, the really bad light pollution doesn't happen until east of the Mississippi. That's when it's like the light, the big white circles start to just grow and grow and grow. So there's a scale called the Bortle scale.
Okay.
And that's a rating. That's a light pollution rating. So Bortle 1 is completely, it's like inky blackness. You're in the middle of nowhere. There's not a single city around for hundreds, maybe even.
Can't see your hand in front of your face.
Exactly. So that's Bortle 1. Bortle 9, Bortle 10, that's like downtown Tokyo. It's like you're not seeing anything. You're not.
I'm blind.
Yeah, you're blind by
see that there's a sky up there.
Yeah. So we are in Bortle 4 here in Montana.
And what's 5. How many? What does it go
10.
to?
1 to 10.
It is a 1 to 10.
So we're Bortle 4 is pretty good, and
I honestly I'm surprised we're that high even.
Yeah, well, and
I thought we'd be more Bortle 2.
2.
Yeah. And the cool thing is you just have to drive half hour north or south or east or west of town, and you're there. You're
so
like Bortle
in
2.
Great Falls proper, if you will, or 4 or 5, but just outside.
So
town,
like
it's-
Benton Lake Wildlife Refuge
yeah,
would
you're-
be like a 2.
You're like 3 or 2, yeah.
Okay.
Even see, my front yard's Bortle 5, but like Black Eagle is 4.
Yeah. Okay.
So literally
Oh.
within the city, it's
It
already
changes.
going down. So
That makes sense. Okay.
whereas if you're in like Tokyo,
It doesn't
you're
matter.
Burl 9 for 100 miles.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So is searching for sky stuff like hunting, where if I say, where's your favorite place to look, you'll be like, no, I don't share my
Secret
spots.
fishing hole. Yeah.
There are a bunch of beginner targets, and there's a bunch of like beginning to middle advanced and then super advanced levels of targets out there.
Now, advanced,
sure.
does that mean like it's hard to get to advanced, or what
Yes.
is advanced? Okay.
So like
I think if you start there, you
so
just give
dim.
up.
Yeah.
So like the hardest one I can think of is it's called the Witch Head Nebula, and it's
The name itself is daunting.
yes. So it's very dim. It's like I forget what there's a magnitude scale for everything too, and it's
Okay.
a very low magnitude. But
Now, are you allowed to like take a flashlight with you to get to your location, or is like that prohibited
yeah,
as well?
light. So
Yeah.
red and I think green light are the safe colors if you're
Because
out.
it doesn't
if
mess
you-
with your
it's
eyes.
star
as well.
parties. So star parties, you try to have zero light, but you need some light. So,
Yeah.
but red light does not screw with your night vision as much. So
Okay.
for whatever reason, I don't know the
But-
reasons why, but
When it comes to taking pictures, and doing astronomy at day, sometimes the sun is very, very important to have around.
Okay.
Because I cannot really photograph Mercury very well. It's very unphotogenic. It's you got to wait for the sun to go down, but then of course Mercury is right behind the sun because it's right next to it. So if I get to a point where the sun goes down the horizon, and I can see Mercury or Venus, those are the best time to do it, and I can capture a picture of it because I saw the light from the sun bounces off that planet and back to us because that's basically what we're seeing.
So it's like highlighting, putting
Yeah.
a little bit of a
It's
spotlight
the
on
only
it.
way I can see Mercury,
Okay.
and Venus is a good like that. And there's other planets that if we're in the right area in the solar system for viewing, they'll be right next to the sun, so the sun can be very, very beneficial to help. But you got to, if you're going to go like me, go for Mercury, it's kind of eerie because you got to wait for that sun to go down before you can do anything. Or if Mercury is in an evening set, you only have so much time before the sun comes up. And when the sun's up, no go. You're done.
Okay.
So I got 20 minutes to find Mercury, photograph it, and everything.
My
And
goodness.
so
So
Mercury's hard to do, but I've gotten it before. It's
That-
really
Wow.
good.
that would be an advanced to very
Yeah.
difficult level planet to get.
Neptune's probably the most evil one of them all.
Yeah, we don't like Neptune. Mm-mm.
But obviously, people who aren't hardy and committed like Peter are
Committed's
to
a
be
good word
out
for
in
it.
the cold, freezing cold. Most people are like, "Oh, I'd rather look at the stars in the summer." There's just a little bit more romanticism to that, and you can sit out on a deck. But the problem is, in my understanding, is that you're going to have to start around midnight or 1 to have really good viewing because of the amount of light that's still
Yeah.
around.
Well, again, our Montana's lucky in that our latitude is northerly, so yes, the night times get shorter, but the temperatures are more pleasant. So it's not a big of a deal to stay out till 10 o'clock. Start your session at 10, get a couple hours in till midnight or past that. Whatever you're comfortable with. But this was my first last summer of really being serious about it and being like capturing things, and it was fun. It was like. So I've really only had one full winter and one full summer of experience so far. And last winter was much nicer than this winter has been so far as cloudy skies go. So
Yeah.
so far summer's been my favorite time of the year for astrophotography.
Also, you got to remember, people want to do like seasonal looking. Well, certain stars are not going to be out in the summer because
That's
we're
true, too.
on the other side. We're on the other side. So as we're looking at stars, you can start at 10 p.m. and see like Betelgeuse on the horizon. Well, it's during the night, it's going up and over, but as you compress, like in 2 months, instead of being really low, it's going to be higher up when it gets dark. So you only have so much time before these things go away. And so Orion is actually on its way to that horizon, and now we're getting the summer stars coming in. And a lot of the other planets are also can be year related also.
Yeah.
But starting around 10 o'clock, you'd be able to see something in the summer, even though it's still kind of light out.
Yeah. And it depends on how much,
I think maybe you're not as committed as you need to be.
Yeah,
I'm thinking midnight, 1 o'clock.
For my part, and I'm not comfortable enough leaving my equipment out in my front yard for all night long.
Oh.
Because I live on a busy street, and there are thieves, and my equipment's not secure in any way, shape, or form.
It's not from the pawn shop anymore?
No. I've since upgraded, yeah. That scope's in the closet somewhere, the old scope. So, but yeah, it's just one of those, you just have to, my specialty is astrophotography, and that is more of a get as much data as you can kind of thing. It doesn't matter if you're spending 5 hours outside or 1 hour, as long as you got that hour in, you're adding those hours up over a long period of time.
Okay.
Some people spend 3 or 4 years collecting data on their favorite object. And the cool thing is the more data you get, the more details pop out, the more, fainter objects come out. There's like faint dust that you would never ever see unless you got like 40, 50 hours of exposure on a single target. So there's a long commitment of time and just eyes on the skies. I've heard it said that astrophotography is the hardest form of photography, harder than wedding photography, harder than anything.
Yeah.
And there's no real market for selling them, So it's like it's really weird because you think of what wedding photography is like a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yep.
There isn't that for astrophotography. It's just it's very much a hobby for hobby's sake. It just you're out there having fun, looking at pretty things, and then and the processing of it. So it really takes a very analytical mind, I guess, or a mind that's good with computers, a mind that's good with processing of images and patience. Patience is my superpower.
I think it would have a very good superpower to have.
Lots of patience in astronomy. Lots of patience in astronomy. It can drive you nuts, obviously. Look,
Oh, that's what happened. Okay.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Do you, how much space debris do you, I've heard that there's just a crazy amount of trash basically floating around out there. How much do you see of that?
I think a lot of it's in my backyard.
Yeah. that swimming pool that wasn't there yesterday.
I can actually answer this question pretty good about space debris. That I used to be on a thing where I'm always looking for the ISS, the International Space Station, and I've seen it through telescope, but I've never been able to photograph it because that sucker's moving so fast across the sky. And it's funny because people be outside looking, what's that thing? It's a UFO. That's the International Space Station, guys. Just calm down, okay?
I can identify it, so it's not.
Calm down.
Or you'll see something like, what are those things that Elon Musk put out there? What are they called? Starlink.
Starlink, yeah.
I've seen those ones. Yeah. And Starlink, a lot of people don't like Starlink. They actually helped me because I was actually looking for Uranus and Neptune, and I couldn't quite tell if it was the planet or the star because it was so faint. But then a Starlink went by, and I looked at my interactive app, and it said, there's a Starlink right there. That's it. I got confirmation. So objects and debris are very, very useful in many ways to finding targets because finding a planet, differentiating Neptune from another star is extremely hard to do. Because Neptune is so faint.
Yes. But you do see satellites and booster rockets, especially like SpaceX stuff. They're re-entering the atmosphere all the time. And if you read the news and you're paying attention, you'll know that one went up last week.
Yeah, Rebecca.
And to expect
I host a podcast where I can learn. That's it.
If you're reading the news, the space news, that's a whole
That's a whole other
the
thing.
space news is very interesting. Sometimes,
but I gotta say, looking at the the International Space Station, I just say it ISS.
Yeah.
But when I looked at it, it looks funny enough. It looks exactly like a TIE fighter from Star Wars.
That's
there
neat.
you go. Yeah.
It's weird.
So let me just clarify some terminology before we move on, even though we've used it a lot through this episode. A target is just a thing you're looking at, whether it be a star, a galaxy, or
object, target,
something you're looking for.
Yeah. I also refer to it as data sometimes. It's just seems very like robotic and
It's more
unfeeling.
my language when you
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
data. I'm like, oh yeah, let's
Yeah.
dig into some numbers and data.
She
Yeah.
likes data. Mhm.
Is it data or data?
Well, that's I know. I just
Yeah.
said that. And I was
I
like,
was
I
just
was
gonna-
not trying to start something, but
The guy from
apparently that's
Star
how I
Trek?
say
blame,
it.
yeah, blame Star Trek for that.
Data.
terminology.
I think
Yeah.
I usually say. I don't know. I think I interchange them.
Tomato.
Yeah.
Data.
Well, I'm also from the education spectrum where Pluto was still a planet.
Oh, the
Oh,
good old
yeah.
days.
And I do feel bad for Pluto. Like one day you're a planet, the next day, nope, you're not. It's like a demotion.
And
I got to get on my soapbox here about
Thank
Pluto.
you.
I
was
got to
hoping you
explain.
would.
Thought you'd
I
have
want
something to
people.
say.
I enjoy telling people about Pluto because we think we downgraded it, and we actually did the opposite
Oh.
of downgrading it.
Okay.
Okay, but we're looking for stars. When we found Uranus back in the 1700s, we found Uranus, and they confirmed it a planet. But the problem was that they said there's something manipulating its orbit. That's when they did calculations, and they took them a long time, but they did calculations, and they said if there's a planet outside of Uranus, it's right here. So they looked, there it was, Neptune.
That's
But then we're
amazing.
going, problem. Now,
Something's controlling Neptune?
what's controlling Neptune? Because its orbit is being manipulated. So we went out there and we found Pluto. We said, we found Planet 9. Wrong. Sorry. Pluto is too small to be manipulating Neptune or anything else. But the important thing about Pluto is that when we found Pluto, we found the Kuiper Belt, which is a asteroid belt, massive asteroid belt beyond Neptune. And basically, what got Pluto demoted was not the size or really orbit or rotation or anything like that or features, its location. Because
Oh.
it's out there and it's about the same size as other dwarf planets we found. If Pluto's a planet, then so are the other asteroids, like ones in our inner belt. Like Ceres, Eris, Makemake, Haumea. These are all planets.
All such
these
fun
are all
names.
these are all similarly sized rocks, the same as Pluto.
We'd
Yeah.
go from 9 planets to 9,000 planets.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
okay.
That's the problem with Pluto. And plus, a planet is defined as an object that is owning its own orbit. It controls it. There's
So
nothing in its way.
what's messing
Pluto?
with Neptune then? If it wasn't Pluto,
Planet 9 is.
Planet
But-
9 is not
Which
Pluto.
which
But,
could
no.
it could be the entire mass of the Cooper Belt. How do you say it?
Kuiper Belt.
Kuiper Belt.
But
It could be the entire mass of all those asteroids combined, and
Or it could be another solar system where
Or it
the
could be
aliens live.
the mysterious Planet 9.
But with the discovery of Pluto, we discovered the Kuiper Belt, and then that helped us discover the Oort cloud, which is another cloud that actually can go on for a couple of light years, and that's a part of our solar system.
My gosh.
We found all these things because of Pluto, and because Pluto exists,
Thank you,
because
Pluto.
the plus
Yeah.
the fact that the Kuiper Belt exists, the Oort cloud exists. We now know that we either still do or had a Planet 9. We used to think that our solar system ended at Neptune.
We couldn't
No.
come up with something more creative so far after
Well,
Wuka or
because
whatever
they
it's
haven't
called, just
identified it
Planet
yet.
9.
Yeah.
Well, but still,
But-
we're still referring to it as something.
But Pluto, we
John
found the
Smith.
Kuiper Belt. Pluto's in the Kuiper Belt. Then we found the Oort cloud, which is where comets come from, and a lot of debris comes from. And we said, well, if there's not a Planet 9, we did have one. If there's not one now, we did have one. Pluto, and like I said, we thought the Neptune ended the whole solar system. Now it's about 3 times bigger and a lot more huge. Pluto is probably the most significant findings we've ever had in our whole solar system. Demoting it to a dwarf planet changed the whole look of our entire solar system.
Huh.
Changed everything. So that's when people say we're picking on Pluto. No. Pluto,
Pluto
is
gets all the credit.
amazing. Pluto gets a
No.
lot of credit for how our solar system works and understanding our own planet and our own the whole solar system. The fact that it actually exists.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pull you all down to my level for a little bit.
Sorry about that.
Here we go. Have you both heard of the Mariani incident out at the Great Falls Voyagers Park where...
This is the UFO thing.
Yeah. What are your thoughts about first a 50-year-old man and a 19-year-old secretary in the infield at lunch with a video camera being able to capture something in the sky? Is it debris? Was it asteroid? Was it a UFO?
I will say your shirt is probably a similar. You're wearing a shirt that has a spaceship on it.
So there's a romantic answer and a probably correct answer.
It's Valentine's Day. We can
Let's
start with the romantic
one.
Romantic, not in the loving sense, but the more a
fantastical
fantastic
story.
Yeah. Why couldn't there be aliens in space? Why why couldn't they have visited us and are we very special enough to have visitors? There's all kinds of theories as to why that absolutely can't happen. Everything from we've missed our window of technology, like we're just too young. We're the only intelligence in space, and we haven't gotten to the time where we've become the aliens, or it's just a distance thing. Like there's no, unfortunately, the speed of light is actually very slow when you're talking astronomical scales.
Yeah.
It's super slow. So there's no way a civilization could have gotten to us in time for, unless, and then you're like get into the science fiction-y things. Well, maybe they've invented wormholes. Maybe they've invented hyperdrive or faster than light, travel. Then all these things, like visitations and stuff become possible. But,
because you start thinking of when you talk about like aliens being out, like, or a visiting spaceship or other life, like has somehow defied the
physics.
You're right. So you think of like, they wouldn't have to obey the time it would take us to get to another planet.
Yeah. There's a multi-billion-dollar industry dedicated towards keeping us entertained with aliens and lasers and stuff like that. So it's no wonder that we're fascinated by it and wondering if how we can't possibly be the only species of intelligence in the entire vastness of the galaxy. It's like on that basis alone, there's got to be one or two out there, if not billions. If there's one, there's billions. But why can't we find them? Why can't we see them? Why can't they see us? Maybe they do see us. We're just babies in our evolution, and they're not. They're keeping quiet, or it's just one of those. Maybe they can see us through some fancy telescopes.
Don't want anything to do with
they're
us. They're like, that's
they're
a
waiting
train
for us
wreck.
to calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
They're killing each other down there.
Yeah.
We don't go down
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, they watch Independence Day and they see what they do to aliens. Like,
Right.
yeah, we're not taking the
Men
kids
in Black don't like that. Yeah.
So it's just one of those.
So that seems like a very scholarly answer.
Yeah.
Personally, do you think aliens exist?
I think they do. I think they have to.
I shouldn't say aliens, but other
Is there
life forms
intelligent life
within
on other planets?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think absolutely they have to exist. Whether they've visited us or not is a completely different answer. Like I don't think it's possible.
Same to you. Do you think aliens exist?
I don't know.
Yep.
Sorry,
Yep.
I don't do the alien thing, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm one of the first people that like science and is actually capable of saying I don't know.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, but when you talk about alien life, you could be talking
That
about
could mean a lot of things.
You could mean a lot of things. We're right now trying to study Venus and studying its clouds because we think there might be, germs, fungus, something like that, or different gases that are living, because that's what life can be like. We found out that there's water on Mars, and where there's water, there's usually life. You got a moon called Europa outside of Jupiter, and it's a ice water planet. And they go, well, we want to go there now because maybe there might be single cell organisms down there. Mm. So when you ask about aliens, that's all I can give you is that we have ideas that there might be germs, lesser forms.
Some type of life form.
When you think of aliens, it's always, this irritates me about sci-fi shows and movies, because they always have aliens with 2 arms, 2 legs, and a Facebook page,
right.
just like us.
Right.
That, like Star Trek.
Mimicking
I love Star Trek, but
they look just like us, but with lasers and horns.
Yeah.
they got ridges on their nose. On
Yeah.
their nose. They got pointed ears.
Yeah.
That's an alien. No, it's not. That's more like that's. So I don't. If there's
Right.
aliens out there, I'm looking at that sort of life.
Okay.
Yeah.
If they have been here, they're probably not coming back because we're nuts.
Smart.
They're
Yeah.
killing each other down there. We're not
And they
going
really
there.
are smarter than us. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let's just leave these guys alone. Okay,
Yeah.
these guys are lunatics.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I still have the same answer for like black holes and stuff like that. We don't know.
So then the other absurd question here at my level down here in the mud, is there a future where we look like Guardians of the Galaxy and we live on ships or?
If we can prevent ourselves from destroying each other, I think there's a future.
So probably not.
Well, I think
'Cause we
that
can't
there's definitely a push for humanity to go to space, because that's really, if we continue to populate the planet, there'll be no more room for us. The whole, we're gonna have to eventually colonize, another planet, but that's probably hundreds, not thousands of years away as far as figuring that stuff out.
I'm not worried about it for my own self.
Yeah. But,
Yeah.
they have been working on incorporating DNA from, like, you know what a water bear is? Tardigrade. So
Nope.
I don't even know what that is.
yeah.
Wow.
So water bears are microscopic little guys. But
Wait, what was the other name?
water bear
But
or
the-
tardigrade is
I
the
feel like I've heard that
Yeah.
name actually.
Don't
but
Yeah.
try to be
No,
cool.
I've listened to a podcast about it's like a tiny microscopic.
they look like little
organism.
bears. They're really cute.
Yeah,
They're really cute.
I legitimately have heard of this.
Okay,
I-
Shannon.
But they're
I will show you the podcast.
they're really cool because they resist radiation like no
Oh.
one's business. So
Can
hey,
we-
let's incorporate their DNA into some life forms that can resist the radiation of space or
Yeah.
radiation of nuclear bombs or the radiation of anything really. So one of the major hurdles of space travel is radiation. And keeping humans from melting on the way to Mars, it's like so
Create our own little
there-
Iron Man.
Yeah, there's all kinds of in the era of CRISPR and DNA modifications and stuff like that. It used to be a joke back in the day. You get to choose your the baby's eye color. Well, those things are just custom humans are going to be a thing, just like AI is.
Yeah,
That's a whole other discussion
Yeah.
alone. But AI is just, in my point of view, an AI is just it's just another tool. But people have other opinions of AI. But it's just like all these things are going to start ramping up so quickly that it's going to be we won't recognize our world in 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
It's going to be weird, and people that are on board are,
I'm excited to embrace the weirdness.
yeah.
I mean,
Well-
it's on its way.
Well, when it comes to space exploration, I get on my soapbox again because it seems like almost 100 years ago, like 75 years ago, we went to the moon. I'm sorry for our conspiracy theorists. We went to the moon. I'm sorry. We went to the moon. It's
It
just how it is.
happened.
But
It
what
happened.
irritates me is that we went to the moon in the 1960s and 70s, and that's it. We didn't. They keep cutting NASA's funding, and I think NASA's probably the most successful agency the government ever created. They blow our minds. All these missions, Voyager missions, like supposed to be a 9-year mission or something like that. 40 years later, it's still out there. Like a few or 3 months for the Mars rover, and 19 years later, it's still going. NASA blows their mind every single time doing these things, and they keep cutting their funds.
Yeah.
They make one mistake, and we're going to do a chip down and do all this and that. Space is risky. It is. But we
Super
didn't go anywhere else.
Yeah.
That's it. We went to Mars. Everybody wants to go to Mars.
Mhm.
And I firmly believe this. People can argue. If we didn't stop at the moon, we probably would be on Mars now. If we just kept on going,
Oh,
we would be there now.
If funding hadn't got cut, if priorities hadn't changed, and
Interesting.
if things on Earth had been different, and the budget for NASA had not shrunk,
Yeah.
they've probably done more with less money than pretty much any government agency at that than any other agency.
Interesting.
so I'm gonna go down this funnel a little bit further because we now have Space Force, and I don't know what that is in comparison to NASA. It seems like the same thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think Space Force was more of a political thing.
Like NASA's the research and explore. Space Force is the
Defenders.
Is the military. Yeah. So
They're the Guardians
you're
of the
looking for your
Galaxy.
guardian. Yeah. There's
Yeah.
you answer your own question.
Okay.
Space Force. I'm going to be perfectly honest here. I'm not 100% certain of what their role is.
I think it's like a division of the Air Force because
It's
Yeah.
its own thing.
My wife was actually an Air Force medic, retired Air Force medic, and
is
so
she joining Space Force?
No, she's retired a long time. She's been retired for quite a while, but she the Space Force. She said they don't really know what
to do with it yet.
but it is an extension of
so
the
then
Air
I don't
Force.
feel so stupid about what it is.
Legitimately think that I saw it. I think I may have
It is
taken
a
a picture.
military division.
No, it is on our Veterans Memorial. I believe there is now a Space Force plaque up there, like waiting for names to go with it.
I got a Space Force koozie at the PRCA Circuit Finals Rodeo.
Nice.
Like, legit. I watched the show with Steve Carell.
It
and
looks
thought
a
it was
little
hilarious. Yeah.
It looked a little like the Star Trek.
Yeah. That was a
Logo?
controversy. Yeah. People were starting to show people. Here's our new logo. Like, no, that's the Star Trek logo.
Yeah.
Here's this. Okay. No, that's the Lego logo.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, come on.
Yeah.
You know, that's the problem with government is no.
Yeah. They're not
no
creative.
creativity. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to go back up to the sky. For you folks who have studied it, have you looked at the moon a lot, and did we leave things behind on the moon?
Oh,
I've
so
done
much.
I've done a lot of photography of the moon. Actually, I got one photo. I saw the moon out there during the daytime, and so I went out there with the telescope and I took photos. And the photo of the moon at daytime, it looks like it's dark, but it has a blue ring around it, and that ring is the sun bouncing off it back at us, because our moon is probably the third most reflective object out there, because it's white powder. It's really, really white. And so our moon is for our planet size, our moon is really, really ridiculously big.
It's a big moon. Yeah.
Yeah. But the most reflective is Enceladus outside of Saturn, and you got Europa, and these are both ice moons, and then we got our moon, and so that's a. What's he talking about?
If you had seen any
things
did
left
we leave
on.
things
There-
behind?
No, you can't see. Not even with the Hubble, they can't see.
Yeah,
it 'cause it's too
you can't
small.
see it, but there is lots of stuff left over from previous space missions and even
the
current
flags.
space missions. Yeah, there's the flags, there's the lunar lander, things that just gets left behind, equipment and
Extra parts.
Yeah.
and
I mean,
failed missions.
won't
Like
need it.
I think was it one of the Chinese rover didn't make it. It crashed on the planet.
Yeah, I believe so.
Crashed on the moon.
Oh.
Yeah, so the bits and pieces of failed experiments. There are things up there. I know there's a reflective panel that they bounce a laser off of, so they can get an accurate distance between us and the moon. So they did leave things up there we can bounce things off of to this day for measuring. So,
but you can't see it with your.
no,
Even if we commandeered the Hubble telescope,
The Hubble
we're
can't
not
see it.
seeing it.
Not even the Hubble can see it.
Okay.
The landing sites.
yeah.
Interesting.
So we know where if you look at a really high fidelity photo of the moon, we know where they are. You just it's like the lunar lander is in this crater right there, but it's smaller than 1 pixel, so there's no resolution high enough to see it. So we know that all that stuff is up there.
Yeah.
But there's lots of stuff up there. Billions of dollars worth of high tech
Debris.
debris are left on the moon.
Wow. How about Northern Lights? Do you guys like to go do that?
Yeah, that's more of a terrestrial form, but
Yes.
those are also fun to get and also tricky. A completely different form of capture. That's better captured with like a video camera where you can take lots of long, fast exposures of, and then you can see the ripples and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
There's some
those are fun.
misconception that they just are available, like they're part of the sky in certain areas.
All
like,
the time.
oh, you live up north, so you have the Northern Lights.
Yeah, if you're on the North Pole, maybe you see them every night.
We
but
get the Northern Lights every now and again, but it
Yeah,
doesn't happen every every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And well, like everything, there's a scale.
Yeah.
Depends on what caused the northern lights. Just the solar flares. Not what created the northern lights. Solar flares hitting us. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the radiation. It's the solar wind hitting our magnetosphere and energizing particles within that magnetosphere, and that's what science happens, and light gets emitted.
Science stuff happens.
That's a good way to explain it to us, actually.
And, sciencey things happen.
Yeah.
And
He's figured out who he's talking to.
Now we're talking the same language. And science.
Now
happens.
I'm not very lost.
When it comes to solar flares, also that's what does create the northern lights. But there's a danger, like I said about the ISS. People hate powering down, and there's a chance. There's been times where we've been hit by a solar flare so big it would knock out a city for a while. I mean, it'll
What
just knock
exactly
them out.
is a solar flare?
It's an explosion of. It's when the sun bursts out. It sends a burst of heat out there. It's like flames.
Superheated.
Look at flames in a fireplace.
so kind of like an
You see one
asteroid
little
without
piece
the rock part?
You see a little flame that comes out further than the rest of it on a fireplace. Some of that. That's basically a solar flare.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Okay.
the sun's contained.
And that's what
but occasionally
is or what causes the northern lights?
the interaction of that
That with the
superheated
science.
plasma. Yeah, the science
happens, yeah.
science of the sun hits the science of the earth, and sciencey things happen.
Okay.
The science hits the science, and then science things happen.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
It's like what happens during Valentine's Day. It's like people get together and science things happens and beautiful
we go.
colors are created.
And 9 months later.
Oh, that's the path we were headed down.
What is that? That's so beautiful. Oh, that's just radiation.
Yeah. Yep.
But there's different colors that get created. So you get lots of reds and greens and depends on how close you are to the source of the where if you're directly over top of where that plasma bit of the sun hits the atmosphere or the magnetosphere, then it's really beautiful in it. And if you're another cool thing about those is if you're in a really quiet area, and this I've had this happen just north of town here.
Quiet light or quiet noise?
Quiet
or just
noise,
any?
if you're away from
Shut your dogs up.
Yeah, shut your dogs up.
It is noisy.
If there's no turkeys, no
Sage
wildlife,
grouse mating.
you're away from the traffic. If you listen really closely, you can actually hear them. You can actually hear.
You can hear the northern lights?
Yep, you can hear them.
What
because
does it sound like? Burning?
It sounds like
Science? Don't tell me science.
very quiet, like
You gotta make noise now. You gotta
a
make
metal
noise
rod
with
hitting a wine glass.
Really?
Very just like billions of
That
little
kind of
like wine
zing,
glasses
zing,
being
zing, zing, zing. Really?
Yeah, we need sound effects, dude.
Yeah.
We
It's
need
like
sound
that's
effects.
missing from my board over here.
if you could add sound to magic, that's kind of what it sounds like. It's like ting,
Okay.
twinkle,
So-
twinkle, twinkle.
The last time the northern lights happened,
Yeah.
they weren't very strong, but my husband goes out and he's constantly like, come look at this. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. And then I don't know how long I'm obligated to stand there and look at things with him.
Yeah. Ask their wives. Yeah.
Maybe-
So I just stand there. I'm like, it looks gorgeous. He's like, oh, isn't it beautiful? I'm like, yeah. And I'm like,
but now
why
I'm
are we
cold.
doing this? But the last time he's like, hey, I come see the northern lights. And so I'm looking, trying to find them. And he's like, they're right there. Can't you see them? No, we're in town. There's lights everywhere. He goes,
Yeah.
I think I can hear them. And I'm like, you can't freaking hear them.
You absolutely
so now
can.
I have to go home and apologize
absolutely
and
can.
tell
Oh
him
my
he was
gosh, I have
right.
to
Yeah.
admit he was
Told
right.
you so.
Yeah.
Yep,
Oh,
you can
I'm
hear 'em.
sorry.
It's very quiet.
Such a sad day for me now, Rod.
That's your Valentine's gift
Yeah.
to him,
There
is
you
to
go.
tell him he was
You were
right.
You were
Right.
right. Mark it on the calendar.
Yeah. That is really cool,
calendar.
though, that you can see.
Yeah, you can
or
see
that
it.
you can hear it,
See
I
and hear
mean.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
they're
there,
fun.
without making this too much of, your secret fishing hole thing, is there a spot you recommend, like visitors who come, who ask us, like the best place to see
And
the
they've
lights or
traveled
whatever?
with their telescope.
Right. Is there a spot that is where they won't be in the way, they'll be out of traffic, but can have a good experience?
Yes. I
Yes.
go out to the memorial where the baseball field is. That's
Oh,
a good area.
yeah.
It's wide open.
That's right in
Actually,
town, too.
and
yeah.
I did go for walks all the time, around town, and I see all these really cool places, and I just like sort of walking. I stay fit, and I was actually the reason we're here right now is because I went walking up there on that mountain, that Warden Park. And I'm looking around, and it was nice out there, and I saw a gazebo, and nice gazebo, and looking around, going, wait a minute, I see potential here. I see major potential here because it's wide open. Yeah. So I came down here and talked to them. Do you guys let people use telescopes overnight? And so or is that allowed? Yeah. We have to talk to the city about that, but I don't think they'd have a problem. So the other day, I was up there again. And we'll go on one of my walks, and I'm going, oh, that's where I saw you guys' little podcast sign up there. And I go,
that's right.
Oh, yeah, where they have the podcast.
You were looking at us from your telescope up there? Yeah.
Yeah. I just got a podcast. Podcast.
Yeah.
Whoa, I ran down here, and I talked to you that very same day.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you guys like to have
we're
us
so
on
accessible. You know, we may be famous, but...
It just suddenly hit me. So then I said, we could do it. So then I got a hold of Rod, and I said, hey, do you want to do a podcast? Okay. Like the same thing like Fort Bend. Want to go to Fort Bend? Okay. Want to do a podcast?
Sorry, we don't have any merit badges to hand out for being here.
Well, we do, but we're stingy with them. The star parties, when are those going to start?
They've already started. We're not very organized at the moment, so they happen kind of at random, and when people want them to happen. They reach out to us and let's throw something together. So
someone can schedule like a private
event
with you too.
Yeah, we've got one coming up actually with the Lewis and Clark Interpretive Center. That's also in April.
We're going to get in a contract. No, not a contract, but we're getting an agreement to do a couple star parties a year out there.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so they'll be a little consistent, and you're welcoming to novice.
Absolutely.
You don't have to have your own.
I did a show.
And clearly, you're not going to make fun of people.
No.
I mean, we've spent an hour together, and nobody's getting made fun of.
Yeah.
I was doing a show at the Lewis and Clark Interpretive Center, and I was telling the audience, I was showing them pictures, and I'm going, to be honest with people, and I'm going to say this to your audience, be honest with people, I don't want to show you guys these photographs. I don't. I want you to see them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you want to use our equipment.
Yeah.
I want you to see these things because a photograph doesn't do it. I can look at a star called Vega, which is the most beautiful star in the sky, in my opinion. It still takes my breath away every time I see it.
Yeah.
And I take a photo, and I'm like, that does not do it any justice at all. Just look at it in real life. Because I want people to see it. I want kids to see these things. I want kids' curiosity. I want us to go out there. We want to go out there, and we're not going to do that by just sitting here doing nothing.
Yeah.
We see the things, and the things that we see out there, they're real.
Yeah.
They're hundreds of light years, thousands of light years away, but they're real.
Yeah.
You can go to these places if we just had the guts to do it.
Yeah.
And so I did a show at Fort Bend, the first show I did. That was my practice run. Then I did Interpretive Center. And then I got contacted by the city to go to the library, and Rod was there for me doing their open house.
That was my first one.
Cool.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah.
And then we did one down at the school in what is that, the football field?
Yeah, the football field behind Paris Gibson Education Center.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's a good spot.
And we have a star party coming up on April 26th.
That's for the eclipse. We have a star party, an eclipse party planned for that day in that same football field.
We're also doing a camp out. Camp. We're going to go out to Creek. Newland Creek. We're going out to Newland Creek and we're having a star party and going camping. Everybody go bring telescopes and stuff like that. Yeah. But I had one guy walked up to me at the Lewis and Clark place, and he said, "Would it be okay if I brought my telescope out?" Absolutely.
Yeah.
Get your telescopes. Absolutely. Get more telescopes.
Yeah.
Because I had a technical failure when I was doing the show, and I felt bad. But I saw other people with the telescopes going, "Okay, well, good thing you guys are here too." Because
we got that.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I think what you said is so true, and it's like anything you kind of experience in this area, photos really never do it justice. Right. I mean, even if you're trying to capture a sunrise or a sunset, like basic humans here, or wildlife, it's just you're just never going to capture that moment in a photo that's going to do it justice. So experience real life and experience it in person here in Great Falls. I mean, look at that.
There you go.
Almost like
like you
We'd
planned it.
like you to be here.
Yeah,
Are-
and we've been kind of disappointed in the last couple star parties because our focus is like, where are the kids at?
Mm-hmm.
We want kids
You
here.
want-
There's a future.
you want
They're
them to
ones-
be
if we're going to go
excited.
out there, which was where we really all want to go, whether you believe it or not, our children are going to be the ones to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our children are the ones going to go to Mars. They're going to colonize Mars, go out there to all these different locations. It's them.
Yeah.
We want them looking up because we want to go. We belong in space. It's our curiosity. We can't stop ourselves
Yeah.
because we're curious.
So good family-friendly entertainment.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Bring your kids and stare through
Kids love it. Yeah.
holes.
Yeah.
Stare at
through holes.
holes.
Are there any either constellations, stars, whatever, that are uniquely viewed here in the Great Falls, like North Central Montana area, that are particularly great that you can see here versus other places?
There's-
Orion and
Yeah.
locations that's view from or
Well, like the our perspective from here in Great Falls, looking up at the sky. Are there any particular like constellations or stars that you
I
can
mean, the
see
sky
better
is
Orion.
big.
here than other places, or appreciate here better than other places? Maybe.
Well, I think that everywhere in the world eventually sees the same things.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, but I think for newbies, like the easy ones are the Orion Nebula. You can see that
Yeah.
with your naked eye.
Mhm.
You can see the Andromeda Galaxy with the naked eye.
Pleiades.
When you're
Pleiades
saying naked
are-
eye, like
yeah.
I take my face, I go outside, I look to the sky, I
100%.
see it.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay.
No, you strip down naked and go look at stars.
Yeah.
you do the ritual. We tell you
This
about
is
the
part
ritual.
of the star parties. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you
No,
want a party?
don't
We'll give you
ruin
a party.
Don't ruin it for me. So just visually, you don't need any equipment to do it.
No. You can see things with your naked eye or a very basic pair of binoculars for a little bit better review. But there's things up there like you'll see them, and then you'd be like, oh, there's something there. I don't know what it is. But and there's a funny thing with your eyes where if you look just to the left or the right of an object, you can actually see it better.
Mm-hmm.
That's because the object is actually, there's a dead spot in the middle of your eyeball that your brain fills in the information.
That's
Yeah.
my problem.
Yeah. But
That got burned off. Yeah.
but yeah, if you look just to the left or the right of a very dim object, you can see it better. But like the Pleiades is like that. There's like, it just looks like a blob, like a weird like a light blob in space. But if you a simple pair of binoculars, you'll see it's actually like 9 or 10 very distinct stars all grouped together in a strange pattern. Same thing with the Orion Nebula. You can see that with the naked eye, but just a very simple pair of binoculars, and it just comes to life, and it's very colorful. It's like purples and blues and it's like whites, and it's
What you expect space
it's
to
very
look like.
it's very pretty. Yeah, and it's a beginner target for a bunch of reasons because it's easy to point at. It's easy to find. Once you see it in your viewfinder, you're like, duh, this is it.
I'm making this connection in my brain of learning astronomy as a radiologist learns to read imaging in an X-ray, where it's like I can look at it and be like, okay, well, that's white, there's something there. But as you study and know what you're looking for, you're able to really like understand an image more, or pick out smaller things or smaller differences in what's just kind of a otherwise black and white blob
Well,
to
it's
untrained
pretty
eye.
deep.
Yeah, it's like looking at like a pair of eyes. Like you can appreciate the beauty of a pair of eyes, but you don't know why is it beautiful? Why is that particular color of blue, pretty to me?
Yeah,
or like
right.
what those little globules that make if you look really close, it's the equivalent of zooming in. It's like you see all this additional information, data that you didn't see before. So that you can appreciate it from a distance. You can appreciate it. It's like one of those hobbies that the more time you spend in it, the more you learn, and the more the targets give you. It's like it's just it's an ever expanding hobby that just it's
As vast
absolutely
as the
fascinating.
universe.
Yeah, it's as vast as the universe. Yeah.
You referenced an app. Are there any, and I think my husband has one too. Are there any apps that would be helpful to take out with you?
There's a bunch of free ones.
Okay.
They're free too.
I like that
that's very
part.
important.
Yeah.
That's my favorite
Stellarium.
word.
Yeah.
Stellarium, it's an actual interactive that's happening at the moment.
Stellarium, yeah.
So
Do you know how to spell it?
Stellarium.
Stellarium.
And
Correct.
If your phone, like my stupid phone, you have
I
to
got
have,
a smartphone.
you have to have a phone that has a gyroscope because
Okay.
because
Yeah.
this does not have a gyroscope.
Okay.
But if you do have a gyroscope, it will actually, you can superimpose a picture of the night sky through your phone's camera,
Wow.
and it'll superimpose all the objects that
Yeah.
That you're
through
supposed to be looking.
Stellarium. Yeah.
Okay.
Huh.
So
Cool.
that's the fun to do, especially if you see like a weird object in the sky or like a really bright star and you want to know what it is.
Then when you see the
just,
really
like,
bright thing, you're
Open
like,
up
what is
Stellarium
happening
and
there?
just literally point your phone at that object and it'll tell you, oh, that's
That's what this
Rigel,
is.
or
Cool.
that's Sirius, or
You can also fast forward and rewind it where it came from, where it's going, so you can plan like in 3 days this thing's going to be this big and in this location, and you can that's what Stellarium can do.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know how far ahead it can go. I've tried, but it eventually crashes. After a couple thousand years, it actually crashes. And people say that you can't really, how can you do that with, go thousands of years in the future with things in astronomy? And I go, well, that's easy, because stars in the universe is actually very predictable. It's uncontrollable, but very predictable. Okay, everything goes around in circles. That's mainly the biggest key of astronomy. It all goes around in circles. It also round.
Yeah.
Yes, the planet is round.
What?
Actually, no. We are flattened to a certain degree because the sun pulls on our equator.
we're slightly elongated. We're more egg shaped than we are a perfect sphere.
That makes me feel
So
better.
we do our planet is flat, but then again, so is everything else in the world because everything turns.
Yeah.
And so that's why we can know what's going to happen in the future with astronomy, because it go around in circles all the time. That's it.
Math.
Math things.
Math and
things.
I
Yeah.
all happening here
Wow,
today.
My two worst subjects in school. Yeah.
Mine too.
Hey.
But the thing with astronomy is, I always like saying this, is that people love science fiction. Astronomers, we turn science fiction into science. Okay? These are no longer like futuristic things. These things are actually real. They can actually go to these places. What they can be like when we get there is a different matter. But we turn NASA and all these places, SpaceX, we turn basically science fiction into just science.
Yeah.
And bring reality to people and saying, yes,
That is
we
really
can.
neat.
There's things with Star Trek and stuff like that. We can do this
Yeah.
if we get out there. And that's the key. We have to get out there.
Yeah.
Well, we also want you not just to get out into space, but come to Great
But
Falls.
to get to Great Falls.
Yeah.
Definitely. I love this town. I've here for like 3 years. This is an absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous town.
Well, thank you.
Love it.
I mean, I didn't do
glad
anything
you're
about
here.
it, but I'm glad you love it.
Plant
They
a
say- they
tree
say-
or two.
They say that the city's smaller and boring. I'm going, are you kidding me? You go for these walks around the town. Go to that walk that goes all around the city. I don't know how far it goes out.
River's Edge Trail is
Yeah, River's Edge
53
Trail.
total
Miles.
miles.
It goes all these places.
Yeah.
You can go.
Yeah.
It's Great Falls is gorgeous. Absolutely. I fell in love with it. I actually have a thing on my Facebook that's an album, a picture album that's called Great Falls Falling in Love.
Yeah.
Because
I
I fell in
love
love.
it.
I found my
Yeah.
wife. I found my wife here. She moved me out here, and I've fallen in
job,
love
her.
with. I've fallen in love with Great Falls more and more and more. And the more I explore this place, the more cool it gets.
Yeah.
Perfect
I love to
way.
hear that.
Absolutely.
Perfect way to end this. And
Yes.
we couldn't say it better
No, that's
ourselves.
perfect.
So thank you both for being
Yeah.
here,
You're welcome.
sharing with us clearly a lot of things that we, being me, knew nothing about.
Oh, I
And well, you knew quite some stuff, so I'm
I knew
proud.
about
heard
the
of
water
the little
bear.
water bears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
We'll
about it.
give her
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question real fast?
Yeah.
Sure.
You're allowed.
Would you guys have us back?
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
we've
wanna
had
come back-
repeat.
I wanna
We've
come
had
back here.
repeat guests
have.
on the
Yeah.
podcast. We
This is
just
great fun.
learned
come back.
new
So glad
stuff.
you had fun. Yeah.
We had a blast. We hope you had a blast listening. And until we see your bright, smiling, happy, healthy, beautiful face here in our fine, fine city, We hope you're creating amazing memories with your friends and family wherever you might be. See you soon.
We're No Dam Experts is the recorded claims from Great Falls, Montana, covering what you need to know about this amazing damn town. Damn, that felt good.